The first question says evaluate 4 over 5 minus 2 over 3. So we're going to make the denominators equal first by multiplying the first fraction by 3 and the second fraction by 5. So that's going to be 12 over 15 minus 10 over 15. Now since the denominators are the same, so we can easily subtract the numerators, and that's going to be 2 over 15. Part B says evaluate 2.7 times 0.2. So 2.7 can be rewritten as 27 over 10 because you move the decimal one place to the right and add a 0 with the 1 in the denominator. And 0.2 can be rewritten as 2 over 10. Once again, move the decimal to the right, add a 0 with the 1. So now it's 27 over 10 times 2 over 10. 27 times 2 is 54, and 10 times 10 is 100. So 54 over 100 can be rewritten as 0.54 because now we move the decimal 2 places to the left, and that gets rid of the 100 in the denominator. Find the fraction which lies exactly between 3 over 5 and 5 over 7. So that means we're going to first add 3 over 5 and 5 over 7 and then divide the result by 2. So to add these two fractions, we have unlike denominators, so we need to make the denominators equal. You times 3 by 7 and 5 by 7, and you times 5 by 5 and 7 by 5 divided by 2. That's going to be 21 over 35 plus 25 over 35. And that's going to be 21 plus 25 is 46 over 35 divided by 2. So that can be rewritten as 46 over 35 times 1 over 2. We take reciprocal of 2, so 2 becomes 1 over 2 and division becomes multiplication. 46 divided by 2 is 23. So 23 over 35 is your answer. Factorize 12t square minus 4t. So between 12t square and 4t, we have 4t common. That comes outside the bracket, and inside the bracket, we're left with 3t minus 1. Because if we divide 12t square by 4t, that leaves 3t, and 4t divided by 4t is negative 1. So in this, we can see that it's a times x minus y plus b times y minus x. So if we compare these two, in the second bracket, the sign is opposite for x and y. X is negative and y is positive. Whereas in the first bracket, x is positive and y is negative. So what we can do is, we can take negative 1 outside. That's going to be negative b now. And that changes the sign. It makes it x minus y. So now we can see the signs are same for x and y. So we take x minus y common. And the other bracket will have a minus b. That is your answer. Now we have this quadratic equation. I have to factorize this. So it's going to be x squared minus 3x plus x minus 3. Why minus 3x plus x? Because 3 has the factors of 3 times 1. And if we do 3 minus 1, that's 2. So whatever the factors are of the product of your coefficient of x squared and your constant, you see which factors when added or subtracted give us the middle term, which is negative 2x. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So we write negative 2x as negative 3x plus x. Now we factor by grouping. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide this into two groups. This is one group and this is the second group. Now, if you factorize this, in the first group, we have x common, so x bracket x minus 3. And in the second group, we have positive 1 common, so x minus 3 again. Now we take x minus 3 common, and the other bracket we'll have x plus 1. That is your answer. Write these lengths in order of size, starting with the smallest. So I'm going to convert all of these lengths in meters. 0.043 will be 1 kilometer is 1000 meters. So we do 0.043 times 1000, which is going to be 43 meters. Then 433 centimeters. 1 meter is 100 centimeter. So 1 centimeter will be 1 over 100 meters. So 433 over 100 is going to be 4.33 meters. So 4.33 meters for this. 4,340 millimeters. So 1 centimeter is 10 millimeters. And we know that 1 meter was 100 centimeters. So 1 meter would be 100 times 10, which is 1000 millimeters, which means 1 millimeter is going to be 1 over 1000 meters. That's going to be 4,340 divided by 1000, which is going to be 4.34 meters. 4 whole number 1 over 3 meters is 4.3 recurring. Now, if we compare these, the smallest we have over here is 433 centimeters. Then what we have is 4 whole number 1 over 3 meters. Now you might be thinking that these two are basically the same, but no, they're not. 433 centimeter is 4.33 meters. It stops at 2 decimal places. Whereas 4 whole number 1 over 3 is 4.3 recurring. So the decimal keeps on going, which makes it slightly bigger than 4.33 meters. Then next what we have is 4.34 meters. So that's 4,340 millimeters. And lastly, 0.043 kilometers. Sandra buys a vase for $40 and sells it for $200. Calculate a percentage profit. So the percentage profit, we're going to subtract the cost from the selling price and then divide it by the cost and times that by 100. That's going to be 200 minus 40 over 40 times 100, which is going to be 160 over 40 times 100. The 0 gets cancelled out. 4 ones are 4, 4 fours are 16, and 4 times 100 is 400%. So that is the percentage profit. Question 6 says these are the minimum temperatures in degrees Celsius recorded by a weather station each day during 1 week. Find the range of these temperatures. So for the range, we need the maximum and the minimum temperature. Maximum temperature over here is negative 0.7. And minimum temperature is negative 4.6. So range is going to be max minus min. And that's going to be negative 0.7 minus negative 4.6. And that is going to equal 3.9. How many of these temperatures are between negative 4 and negative 2? So between negative 4 and negative 2, we have this, and this. Because if we rearrange it, -4, then we would have -3.5, then we would have -2.4, then -2.3, and then you would have 2. So 3 temperatures. Question 7 says, by writing each number correct to one significant figure, estimate the value of this. 6.044 would be 6, so 6 square. 212 would be 200, and 0.304 would be 0.3. So 6 square is 36 over 200 times 0.3. 200 times 0.3 is going to be 60. So 36 over 60 is going to give us 6 over 10, which is 3 over 5. And you can rewrite that as 0.6. Question 8 says, in the diagram, the time on the clock is 2:30 p.m. Calculate the reflex angle between the two hands of the clock. Reflex angle is this angle. So what we're going to do is, we know that a full circle is 360, and we have 12 big divisions between each of, like, there are 12 units in total, like the bigger units. A full circle is 360 degrees, and there are 12 big units in the circle. So if we do 360 divided by 12, that's going to give us 3 degrees, which means between each small unit, the angle is 3 degrees. So we know that this is 1/4 is a 90. The other quarter is also going to be 90. So what we need to find is this angle now. This is the main angle that we need to find. This is 90 and this is 90. If 1/4 is 90 degrees, which means this is going to be 30, this is going to be 30, and this total would be 30, but half of it is going to be 15. So our reflex angle is going to be 90 plus 90 plus 30 plus another 30 and plus 15. So that's going to add up to 255 degrees. That is your reflex angle. Question 9 says simplify. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand the bracket. 3 times 3a, 3 times -4, 2 times 2 and 2 times -2a, and 2 times -a. That's going to be 9a minus 12 plus 4 minus 2a. Combine the like terms. So over here, these are the like terms, and these are the like terms. So that's going to give us 7a minus 8. Given that 4x equals to 3y, find the numerical value of 8x plus y over y. So if 4x equals to 3y, if you multiply 2 with 4x, that's going to give us 8x. So that means we multiply 2 with 3y as well, and that's going to give us 6y. So 8x equals to 6y. That is our first conclusion out of this. So now we're going to use this in the given equation to find the total value. So replace 8x by 6y. So 6y plus y over y. That's 7y over y, and that is equal to 7. Once we cancel out the y's. So that is the numerical value of 8x plus y over y. Solve the simultaneous equation. So let's call this the first equation and let's call this the second equation. I'm going to make y the subject in the first equation. So that's y equals to 5 minus 4x. This is our third equation. I'm going to substitute 3 in 1. So that's going to give us 3x minus 2 times 5 minus 4x equals to 12. That 3x minus 10 plus 8x equals to 12. That's 11x minus 10 equals to 12. Take the 10 to the other side, so it becomes 12 plus 10. 11x equals to 22. X is going to be 22 over 11, and that is 2. That is your first value. Then what we're going to do is we're going to find the corresponding y value. So we're going to use equation 3. I'm going to do y equals to 5 minus 4x. Put x equals to 2 in it. That's going to be y equals to 5 minus 4 times 2, which is 5 minus 8, and that is negative 3. So y is negative 3 when x is positive 2. Express 340,000 in standard form. So what we're going to do is we're going to move the decimal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places to the left. That's 3.4 times 10 to the power of 5. Then it says evaluate 4 times 10 to the power of 7 over 8 times 10 to the power of 21. So I'm going to write 4 over 8 separately and 10 to the power of 7 over 10 to the power of 21 separately. 4 divided by 8 is 1 over 2. And 10 to the power of 7 divided by 10 to the power of 21 is 10 to the power of 7 minus 21. Why? Because when we're dividing similar bases, like in exponents, what happens is that your powers get subtracted. That's why it's 7 minus 21. 1 over 2 can be rewritten as 0.5. And 7 minus 21 is basically, negative 14. Now it says standard form, so that means we'll move the decimal 1 place to the right, so it's going to be 5.0 times 10 to the power of negative 15 now. Part C, 7 times 10 to the power of a minus 3 times 10 to the power of a minus 1 equals to k times 10 to the power of a. Find k. So let's start with taking 10 to the power of a common on the left hand side. So that leaves us with 7 minus 3 times 10 to the power of negative 1 equals to k times 10 to the power of a. I can easily cancel out 10 to the power of a now because they're both being multiplied and they're common now. And now we move on to the remaining terms. So 7 minus 3 times 1 over 10. I rewrote 10 to the power of negative 1 as 1 over 10 equals to k. 7 minus 3 over 10, which is going to be 70 minus 3 over 10 equals to k. So that is 67 over 10, which is 6.7. That is your value of k. Simplify this. So whenever you have a power inside the bracket and outside the bracket, the power that's outside the bracket gets distributed with all of the terms inside the bracket, which means it's going to be 2 cubed times x to the power of 2 times 3, which is 8 times x to the power of 6. Whenever there's a power outside the bracket, inside the bracket, both the powers get multiplied. So that's why it's 2 times 3. Then it says simplify 6t cubed divided by 2 over 3t square. It's going to be 6t cubed times 3 over 2t square. Now what it did was, since we're dividing a whole number by a fraction, so I took the reciprocal of the fraction, and that means we're swapping the numerator with the denominator, and division becomes multiplication. But what most kids do is that they forget to take the t square with 2 in the denominator. What they do is they keep the t square in the numerator, and then it's 3t squared over 2, which would give the incorrect answer. So always make sure that whatever like variable is written over here with the numerator, even though it's not written as 2t square, but if it's written like this, it is with the numerator. It's not with the denominator. So when you'll take the reciprocal, you'll take the t square down with 2, and that would completely change your calculation. So now what we have is 6 times 3 times t cube over 2 times t square. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 divided by 2 is 9, so 9. And t cube over t square is t. Why? Because t cube over t2 is t to the power of 3 minus 2, and that is t to the power of 1, or in other words, t. Question 13 says, set P has the elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Set Q has the elements 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. Find the number of P union Q. So P union Q would be all the elements inside P and Q. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 11. Union means all the elements. So if any element is being repeated, you only write it once. You don't write it twice. So now number of P union Q would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 elements. P is A union. P is basically A intersection B. Q is A union B complement. R is A intersection B complement. Always remember, this is your intersection, and this is your union. So on the Venn diagram below, write each of the letters P, Q, and R in its appropriate subset. So A intersection B is P. So P is over here. A union B complement. So that means everything except for A and B. So that's going to be over here outside the sets. And A intersection B complement is going to be over here, just in A. Question 14 says, this net is folded to make a triangular prism. Which vertices join with A? So if you fold this set, you will see that A is joined by G and E. Then which edge joins with DE? So DE would also be joined by AB, because this rectangle is going to come at the top with DEFC. So it's going to be AB, or you could even write BA. Both are correct. Then it says FH is 2 centimeter, GH is 2 centimeter, and JH is 5 centimeter. Find the volume of the triangular prism. So FH 2 centimeter, GH is 2 centimeter, and JH is 5 centimeters. So volume is basically cross section area times the height. So cross section area is going to be this triangle over here, GFH. That's going to be 1 over 2 times 2 times 2, length times the base times the height. And that's going to be multiplied with the total height, which is like the total running length, which is HJ. So that's going to be times 5. That's going to be 10 centimeter cube. That is your volume. 2 bags contain beads. The first bag contains 7 beads, of which 3 are red and 4 are white. The second bag contains 5 beads, of which 2 are red and 3 are blue. 1 bead is taken at random from each bag. The tree diagram is shown below. Find the probability that both beads are red. So for both beads to be red, we're going to follow this route. We start from here and we go there. That's going to be 3 over 7 times 2 over 5, which is 6 over 35. Then both beads are white. So for both beads to be white, we do this. And there is no other one in the second bag. So which means both beads cannot be white because we only have white beads in the first bag. There are no white beads in the second bag. Hence, our probability for this is going to be 0. Then exactly 1 bead is red. So to make sure that exactly 1 bead is red, we can do this. And then the second bag can have blue. Then we can say first has white and then the second one has red. So as you can see, if we take these two roots, only 1 bead is exactly red. Hence, we will say 3 over 7 times 3 over 5 plus 4 over 7 times 2 over 5. Always remember, when you're going along the branches, you multiply. And when you're going across them, you add. That's why it's 3 over 7 times 3 over 5. And then plus 4 over 7 times 2 over 5. That's going to give us 9 over 35 plus 8 over 35, which is 17 over 35. The heights of a sample of plants were measured. The results are shown in the table and in the histogram. Use the histogram to find the value of P. So to find the value of P, it's in this bar. So we can see the frequency density is 4. So frequency density has the formula of frequency over class width. So frequency density is 4. Frequency is P over class width, which is 25 minus 15. You find the difference of intervals for the class width. So that's 4 equals to P over 10. 4 times 10 equals to P, which is 40. So P is 40. Then it says complete the histogram. So to complete the histogram, we need to find the frequency density of the remaining class interval. So we know that the frequency is 30. We're going to do 30 over, and the class width is 15, which is 2. So from 25 to 40, this is your remaining histogram. Question 17 says the diagram shows the positions of 3 boats A, B, and C. By measurement, find the bearing of B from A. To find the bearing of B from A, Basically, the angle you need to measure is this entire angle. So what you can do is you can easily measure using a protractor this angle. You measure this and then you subtract this angle from 360. I'm going to call this A. So you subtract A from 360 and that would give you the bearing of B from A. When it says from some point, then you measure the angle from that point towards the line where that point, the other point is located. So you'll use a protractor for this and you'll easily get your value. Then it says CX is the bisector of angle ACB. Use compasses and a straight edge only. Construct the locus of points inside the triangle ABC that are equidistant from B and C. So CX is the angle bisector of ACB, okay? And construct the locus of points inside the triangle ABC that are equidistant from B and C. So if they're equidistant from B and C, that means you'll draw a perpendicular bisector for B and C. For the perpendicular bisector, you'll first measure your length of BC. Right over here, step 1. Measure the length of BC. Then next step is open your compass to more than half the length of BC. So let's say if BC was 8 centimeters, so then you will open your compass to like 4.5 or 5 centimeters. So once you've done that, you will put your compass at point C and draw an arc above and below the line BC. And then you will repeat the same steps for point P and you will draw an arc above and below the line. So the intersection of these two arcs would basically give us the perpendicular bisector. And when you can you can easily check whether this perpendicular bisector is correct by measuring this distance from C to this point and from this to this point. Both these distances would be half of 8, which is 4. So this would also be 4 and this would also be 4. But 8 is like something that I'm assuming that the length of BC would be because I can't physically measure it right now. But like these are the steps that you will use to show the locus of points that are exactly equidistant from B and C. Then a ship is nearer to AC than to BC and nearer to C than to B. Shade the region in which the ship is situated. So a ship is nearer to AC than to BC. That means it's somewhere over here. And it's nearer to C than to B. So it's definitely going to be somewhere over here because like it's nearer to C than to B and it's nearer to AC. Then question 18 says the diagram is a distance time graph of Safira's journey from home to a shop and back again. She leaves home at 8:15 and returns at 8:50. How many minutes does she stay in this shop? So the time where like there's no distance being covered, that means that is the time that she's spending at the shop, which is all of this. So we have 8:30 when she arrives at the shop and 8:35 when she leaves the shop. That means she only spent 5 minutes. Then it says at 8:30, her brother leaves home and goes to the shop. He walks at the same speed as Safira. On the grid, draw the graph of his journey to the shop. How far is he from the shop when he meets Safira? So at 8:30, her brother leaves home and goes to the shop. He walks the same speed as Safira. So if we look at the speed over here, speed is basically the distance time graph. Speed is your slope of the distance time graph. So over here, this is when she's walking from home to the shop. So 1200 is the distance over here and 0 is the distance over here. So if we find the speed, that's going to be 1200 minus 0 over 8:30 and 8:15 have the difference of 15 minutes. So 1200 divided by 15 is going to give us 80. So 80 meter per minute is your speed over here. So if she's going to follow the same speed, sorry, if the brother is going to follow the same speed and he's starting at 8:30, so then his journey will end at over here at 8:45. This is going to be the graph of the brother's journey. He's using the same, he's walking at the same speed and he's covering the same distance. Obviously, he's covering the same time. So it takes him 15 minutes to cover the same distance. Then it says, how far is he from the shop when he meets Safira? This is where they both meet, and this is where the shop is. So if we compare the distance, 1200 minus 800, that's going to be 400. So he's 400 meters away from the shop when he meets Safira, because this is where the shop is, and this is where Safira is. Like, this is where Safira and him are like meeting at the same point, because the graphs are basically intersecting at this point. Calculate the speed Safira walks to the shop. Give your answer in kilometers per hour. For the speed, we know the distance she covered is 1200 meters. Let's convert the meters into kilometers first. 1 kilometer is 1000 meters. 1 meter is going to be 1 over 1000 kilometers, because now we're going from a smaller to a bigger unit. So that's going to be 1200 over 1000, which is going to give us 1.2 kilometers. Now for the time, she took 15 minutes. 1 hour equals to 60 minutes. 1 minute is 1 over 60 hours. So we do 15 over 60. So we do 15 over 60, which is going to be 1 over 4. So speed is distance over time. So 1.2 divided by 1 over 4. 1 over 4 is 0.25. And that is going to equal 4.8 kilometers per hour. You move the decimal 2 places, move the decimal 2 places. So 120 divided by 25 is 4.8. Question 19 says, triangle A, triangle B, and point P, -2, 2 are drawn on the grid. Describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle A onto triangle B. So as you can see, triangle B is basically a reflection of triangle A in the line of X in the X-axis, or you could say Y equals to 0. So reflection in the X-axis, or Y equals to 0. Write on the matrix that represents this transformation. So the matrix that represents this transformation is going to be 1, 0, and 0, -1. Triangle A is mapped onto triangle C by an enlargement center P, scale factor -1/2. On the grid, draw and label triangle C. So scale factor is -1/2 and center of enlargement is P. So if you look at the distance of P from this point, that's 4. So half of 4 is going to be 2, which means this point is going to come over here. Let me use a different color. This point is going to be this point. So that's 4. That's -4 and 2. Then this distance, which is 2 units, so now it's going to be half of it, so that's 1 unit. So that's going to be over here, -4 and 1. This is going to be this. -6 and 2. So this is our triangle over here. Because if we match the lengths, this is basically this. This is this. And that would this. They're all passing through the same point, which is point P. So that's why it's your center of enlargement. So this is the accurate representation of enlargement of A, and this is B. Question 20 says the diagram shows a sequence of patterns. Each pattern has one more row, 2 more dots in each row than the pattern before it. On the diagram, draw pattern 4. So we're going to have one more row and we're going to have 2 more dots. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the dots would be 7 now in each row. 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Then it says complete the table for the first 4 patterns in the sequence. So as you can see, we're adding 1 row each time. So it's going to be 5 over here. Number of dots in each row, we're adding 2 more dots. So it's going to be 5 and 7. And then total number of dots is basically your product of number of rows and number of dots in each row. So 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 5 is 20, and 5 times 7 is 35. Then it says find an expression in terms of n for P. So P is basically n plus 1 because we're adding 1 to the number of rows. Then it says find an expression in terms of n for Q. Q is basically your number of dots in each row. So Q is going to be 2n minus 1. Why? Because if you look at the first pattern, we have 2 number of rows and one dot in each row. So if we do 2 times 1, that's 2, and 2 minus 1 is 1. Same for the second pattern. 3 number of rows. So 2 times 2, which is 4, and 4 minus 1 is 3. Find an expression in terms of n for the total number of dots in pattern n. So for the total number of dots, we multiply P and Q. And that's going to be n plus 1 times 2n minus 1. Can keep it as it is or expand the bracket. That would give you 2n square minus n plus 2n minus 1, which is 2n square plus n minus 1. This is also correct. This is also correct. Question 21 says the diagram shows a triangle formed by joining the points A, B, and C. The equation of the line BC is given as 2x plus 3y equals to 32. The region inside triangle ABC is defined by three inequalities. One of these is 2x plus 3y is less than 32. Write down the other two inequalities. So first one is going to be this line, which is basically going to be y is greater than 2, because we're looking at the area above y equals to 2 line. So it's the greater part. Then for the other line, which is basically going to be this one over here, I'm going to find the line of equation. Why I'm saying we have to find this line, because if you look at the other one, which was 3y equals to negative 2x plus 32, this line has a negative slope and this line has a negative slope. So this is the equation for this line. This line over here, AC, has a positive slope, which means we have to find this line. So we have 2 points. Let's find the gradient first. 8 minus 2 over 4 minus 1, which is 6 over 3, and that's 2. So we have y equals to 2x plus c. Substitute point A in this. So 2 equals to 2 times 1 plus c. 2 equals to 2c, and 2 equals to 2 plus c. 2 minus 2 is c, and that's 0. So we have y equals to 2x. Now for the inequality, since we're looking at the region underneath it, so that means it's decreasing, like the values of y are decreasing on this side. So what we're going to do is we're going to write y is less than 2x. So these are two inequalities. The point K7, where K is an integer, lies inside triangle ABC. Find the possible values of K. So to find the possible values of K, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the equation 2x plus 3y equals to 32. And I'm going to put x equals to k in it and y equals to 7. That's going to give us 2k plus 21 equals to 32. 2k equals to 32 minus 21, which is going to be 11. So k equals to 11 over 2. And 11 over 2 is 5.5. So 5.5 is going to be between x equals to 4 and x equals to 5. So possible values of k can be k equals to 4 and k equals to 5. Question 22 says the diagram A, B, C, D, and E lies on the circle center O. AOB is 48, DEB is 54. Find x. So to find x, OA and OB are equal because they're the radius. So it's an isosceles triangle. So we can do x equals to 180 minus 48 divided by 2. And that is going to give us 66. Then in the next part, it's asking us to find y and then z. To find y, which is over here, we're going to use one of the properties of circle theorem. Angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference. So this angle over here and this angle over here. Y is going to be twice of 54, which is going to be 108. In the next part, it says find z. So as you can see, if we connect these 4 points, it's making a cyclic quadrilateral. A cyclic quadrilateral is that quadrilateral that exists inside a circle and all of the vertices are touching the circumference of the circle. So as you can see, point E, D, C, and B, all 4 are touching the circumference, which means it's cyclic quadrilateral. And a cyclic quadrilateral opposite angles equal to 180, which means 180 would equal to 54 plus Z. So if we subtract 54 from 180, that's going to give us the value of Z, which is 126 degrees. Question 23 says, in the diagram, the circles with centers O and Q touch at P, where OPQ is a straight line. The line ORT intersects the small circle at R and is tangent to the larger circle at T. OR is 4, RT is 6. The radius of the larger circle is x centimeters. Calculate the value of x. Let's look at this shape now. Since this is a tangent, which means this angle would be 90. Because the tangent always makes a 90-degree angle with the radius. This is x. PQ would also be x because TQ, PQ both are the radius. Similarly, if OR is 4, OP would also be 4 because radius. So since it's a right angle triangle, we can apply Pythagoras and we can say that OQ square is equal to TO square plus QT square. Square of the hypotenuse, which is OQ, equals to the square of the opposite and the adjacent. So that's going to be 4 plus x square because OQ is this. OT is 4 plus 6, which is 10 square. And QT is x, so x square. Expand 4 plus x whole square. That's going to be 4 plus x times 4 plus x equals to 100 plus x square. That's 16 plus 4x plus 4x plus x square equals to 100 plus x square. So that's 16 plus 8x plus x square equals to 100 plus x square. If you bring everything on one side, that's going to be 16 plus 8x minus 100 equals to 0 because x square minus x square is going to be 0. 16 minus 100 is basically 84. Negative 84 plus 8x equals to 0. And you put this over here, 8x is basically equal to 84. And x is going to be 84 over 8. And that is going to give us 10.5 centimeters. That is your value of x. Question 24 says a equals to 2, negative 3, 1, negative 2. Find a square. So we're going to do 2, negative 3, 1, negative 2 times 2, negative 3, 1, negative 2. It's going to be 2 times 2 plus 1 times negative 3. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the first row with the first column, then the first row with the second column, and then we repeat the same steps for the second row. So going back to the calculation, that's going to be 2 times 1 plus 1 times negative 2. Now we've multiplied the first row with both the columns. Moving on to the second row, negative 3 times 2 plus negative 2 times negative 3. And then again negative 3 times 1 plus negative 2 times negative 2. That's going to be 4 minus 3 minus 6 plus 6, 2 minus 2, and minus 3 plus 4. That gives us 1, 0, 0, 1. That is your answer for A square. Then it says the matrix X satisfies the equation X times 2, 1, -3, -2 equals to 0, 2. Find X. For this, you need to first remember that when you're multiplying two matrices, and if your matrix is has like one row, that means the one that got multiplied with this would also have a single row. That means X is in the format of AB over here. So if we write AB times 2, -3, 1, -2 equal to 0, 2, and you multiply it, we know it's going to be A times 2 plus B times -3, and then A times 1 plus B times -2 equal to 0, 2. That's going to be 2A minus 3B and A minus 2B. So which means 0 equals to 2A minus 3B, 3B equals to 2A, and B is 2 by 3A. Okay. Next equation is going to be A minus 2B equals to 2. Now we know B is 2 over 3A. So A minus 2 times 2 over 3A equals to 2. There's going to be A minus 4A over 3 equal to 2. Subtract the 2, so that's going to be, let me just remove this from over here. If we subtract the 2, that's going to be 3A minus 4A over 3 equals to 2, minus A equals to 6, or A equals to -6. So for B, I'm going to do 2 over 3 times -6, which is going to give us -4. So X is going to be -6 and -4. That is your answer.